All right, this is obviously like a pretty anticipated ISC from the MFD side. I guess let me know if you guys care about the Zeus. I think it's a very cool looking ship. I think it'll probably be something that kind of changes that size category for ships, but we'll have to see. It's 18 minutes. It's called Inside Star System Alpha 324.2, the Zeus and MFDs. So that confirms the .2 will have these things in them. So that's a thing. Sorry, it started muted. It should be unmuted now.
First introduced at last year's CitizenCon, the RSI Zeus is steadily working its way through the ship pipeline to its intended release. And on this week's show, we'll take a look at 2 of its variants, as well as the new MFD rework that you've seen glimpses of here and there. It's a multifunctional show. Let's get to it.
This is supposed to be like a Cutlass competitor, right? It looks
the
RSI
so
Zeus
Mark
bigger.
II is a reimagining of the original RSI Zeus.
Connie competitor.
Zeus
Okay.
was the first mass-made
right.
human exploration ship that was capable of doing quantum travel.
We didn't want to just make
Volume
the
seems
Zeus
loud.
again. We wanted to kind of pay homage to what made the Zeus important, what made it iconic back then. We wanted to kind of give that an update and kind of bring it up to modern
C1
day
comparable?
visuals
Okay.
and make sure it really feels RSI.
It's RSI style, but we feel it's almost a improvement upon the style. It's sort of an evolution of the style. And so players will appreciate the consistency with other RSI ships, but you can see the technological advancement of RSI.
You may remember the Zeus from our episode in Jump Points a few weeks ago on Inside Star Citizen.
It was very good. And
It was
did a
very
really
good,
job.
Jared tells me.
Jared tells me.
The Zeuses are a great stepping stone ship. So you've got your starter ship originally, you've dipped your toes in a few gameplay loops, and you just want to be able to do a bit more. The Zeuses allow you to do that with some friends.
This is my favorite part, when they car salesman us for the new ship.
So yeah, it supports up to 3 crew members, but you can fly it yourself if you want. And if you've got a buddy, they can man the turrets.
The Zeuses, for me, are probably some of the best looking ships we've ever produced for Star Citizen. I think they really set a new visual standard in both their shape and style. So when we release the Zeus,
It's a
it
Dorito.
comes with both the ES and the CL, both together in the same patch. The ES is the exploration-focused variant of the Zeus, so it has a modest-sized cargo bay, larger hydrogen and quantum fuel tanks,
Okay.
a larger radar, and a more spacious living area.
Larger radar.
The CL, the cargo version,
what
maximizes
I
its
care
cargo
about.
capacity. It does that by shunting the sort of central bulkhead towards the front of the ship, so that increases the cargo capacity from 32 to 128 SCU, at the expense of just really cramming in the living quarters to be much more compact.
Only 232 SCU boxes. Okay. It looks so much bigger because all of this wing shit is wasted space in terms of its cargo capacity, but maybe it plays a role in the way it flies.
The exterior of the Zeus ES has got that very kind of iconic RSI arrowhead shape.
We tried to stick to what was like the homage that the concept made of the first Zeus.
It keeps the kind of central fuselage. You've got this big kind of central mass with these lovely kind of quite fast and
What does the Connie hold? 96. What does the Connie Taurus hold? Right? Since that's its competitor.
aggressive looking wings. And they kind of just help to make it feel quite aggressive and quite sharp, which I think
right.
builds on what our
So this thing better fly a lot better or have something else that it does better than the Connie.
RSI as a brand are kind of really about.
For me, as like an industrial enjoyer, right?
The big details on the flat surfaces, the mix of materials, I think is very well balanced.
I'm still a massive fan of the underside. Undersides of our ships sometimes get a little bit underlooked or overlooked. Sorry. Yeah, but I think the underside, the belly, originally the plan was for it to be kind of completely smooth and completely all one surface. But as we started to work it up, the artists that were working on it were kind of like, oh yeah, can we add a little bit of recesses? Can we add a little bit of relief into this shape just to kind of help build on the believability? And I think it was a real success.
So weaponry-wise, across all of them, the pilot has access to twin size 4 guns.
Enemy down.
And the side seats have access to the remote turrets.
Where are the remote turrets? One rear? Where's the other? Are they both on the bottom?
When we look at the difference between the ES and the cargo, with the cargo we wanted to add a little bit more structure and believability into the exterior of the ship. This is supposed to carry a lot more weight. So
that looked pretty usable.
we wanted to kind of bulk up the main structural points. So we've got some large additional bracing down the center. And then the other thing that a cargo version is going to require is some additional thrust. So we want to kind of bulk up the main thrusters at the rear that allow you to kind of take off. And those kind of downward pointing thrusters have grown in size. And
oh no. Is this thing going to be the best because it's got 30 Gs up and then everyone's going to use it as a combat ship when it comes
add
out?
to that believability that this vehicle can lift a bit more weight than the base version.
There's your best PvPer right there, boys.
So if we start at the front of the ship, it's quite a tight space. One of the things that we kind of really realized early on with the vehicle is that we crammed a lot of stuff into the space that we had to play with. So the cockpit is quite tight. You've got a nice kind of 3-person cockpit up the front. And the seating arrangement echoes that kind of arrow shape that we see on the exterior of the ship. And
does anybody else hate the floaty chairs for RSI? I hate them. I never
just
like
helps
them.
to make the pilot have the important up front seat,
RSI
but also
interiors
just ties everything together a little
not
bit,
been
which
the
is lovely.
best to me.
As we go back through the ship, we
this is looking better though.
go into the airlock and the engineering area. This
Oh shit, it's not 4K.
This area
Hold on.
changed
There
quite
you
a
go.
bit during the vehicle's development. We actually opened this space up a little bit. We took
That
out
should
one of the
look a bit better.
bulkheads. One of the things we realized as we kind of got into production was that there was maybe a few too many doors. This really was the ideal place to kind of remove one of those and open that area up a little bit. So we've got this engineering
terminal
section that has the kind of main docking collar and also has the ladder exit. So we've got our kind of 2 front exits on the vehicle. And then as we go back through the corridor section, we have like a bit of a crossroads. So you can either go into the kitchen area.
It's big.
Which still has its nice window and looks out and it's beautiful and perfect. Or on the right, we've got the habitation area where we've got 3 beds, toilet,
It's big.
a nice little seating area, lockers, and everything you need really in terms of a hab.
Get out, get out, get out.
And then as we go into the back of the ship, that's really where we get to our larger ship components and our cargo area.
Okay.
With the cargo version, the Clipper, there's obviously a lot more space dedicated to cargo compared to the base version. To achieve
It's really the cargo space feels really small, but it
that,
just
what
must
we've
look
had to
that
do
way.
is adjust some of the kind of like the rear layout of the ships.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. What KSP said in chat. At least no wasted space in the interior. It looks like everything's being utilized.
We had to rearrange the components so that they're closer up to the doorway, and we had to move the weapon locker from the corridor into the actual cargo holds, so there was a lot of rearranging.
But what that does buy us is enough space to fit the kind of extra cargo in. We've also had to sacrifice some of the kitchen area in the habitation.
cares?
You lose the sofa and the nice seating area, but on the positive, we get much more cargo space, which for kind of a dedicated cargo ship is the most important thing.
You'll notice that
122 SCU of cargo is a lot.
on the floor, there'll be blue trimming exactly where the player can place cargo. It'll be a lot easier for the player to know where you can access the components versus where you can place cargo on the sides.
This has been a great first full ship from concept to release for the Montreal vehicle team.
This is one ship that took an entire year to build. Like, the amount of work that goes into these ships is insane, both in art and design.
They built on kind of
1 year. This game's never coming out.
what they'd learned with the cutters and really just done a fantastic job in taking what was the original vision of the ship and really delivering it in something that I think It looks great, it should play great, and I think they just did a fantastic job across the board.
To me, the final product shows there's nothing in any other game that can come close to the level of detail.
How much money was spent making this thing versus how much will they get back in return? That's a
the
lot
amount
of
of
time.
thought that got put into every button, every component bay, everything, is in its place.
So the Zeus is another great addition to the fleet of ships
I'm
in
not
Star
saying they're not
Citizen,
making a profit,
and
but-
being RSI obviously has that special touch, sharing the name with our company and founder.
What you got to hope is that it's Montreal's first ship and that they'll improve over time and it won't take a year next time for a Connie-sized ship, but I don't
And
know.
we are excited to see this ship set foot in the verse and push along the RSI style ahead of a big year for RSI ships.
Ships don't set foot, John. They fly.
Got little feet.
They do got little feet.
Just being argumentative.
And again, for anybody who's ever gone not far enough in a hangar and has ever hopped their ship a little closer, they got feet. All right, this is the part I care about, the MFDs. Enough ship salesman stuff. The ship's very cool. It is definitely going to be one of my my daily drivers if I'm playing with like a small group of people, maybe. We'll see. I like a little bit more cargo space, but that's a ship that I think I want to try. The MFDs is what I care. Not like a daily driver, but yeah.
The MFDs and the ship HUD and the PU.
Everyone knew there was going to be a 324.2, guys. Stop pretending like this is news. Don't be over dramatic for no fucking reason. Chill out.
It's old.
And the actual UI itself is very small. One color, they're all in one color. Text is too small to read.
It's very samey, right? It has a bunch of stuff on it that you don't really use.
Not very new user friendly.
Any user friendly.
Any user friendly, yeah.
Any user friendly.
It was good for its time. It did the job. It got us where we are today.
But it's time for something new, and that's what we're going to talk about.
You know you've been here for 12 years when there's literal children making the game now.
The reason why we're doing this now is because we had a lot of time during the development of Squadron to create an expandable and a more robust system for MFDs.
It just makes me feel old. That's all.
We have a bunch of super nice MFDs ready for Squadron, and now we're moving them
It's
over
great.
to Star Citizen.
It's also really good to bring it over now because we've got the new resource network
But it makes
system,
me feel
so
old.
we need to have the MFDs here to support.
These look really good. And look, the new Annunciator panel is not some silly art piece. It's on the screen. Scanner. I'm blocking power output, and then you have your self status here.
Support that new gameplay. Initial release, there'll be 5 visual styles to the MFDs and the HUDs.
There's Aegis.
It's very militaristic and it's very sleek.
They all look the same, just different
Anvil
colors.
is great. I
Oh,
love the
maybe
green
not.
color of Anvil. It feels a lot more like an F-16 cockpit. Drake is my favorite. It's retro and Blade Runner and CRTs.
There's Argo.
It really feels like a piece of industrial equipment, which
I'm very happy they went yellow with Argo instead of orange.
is what the brand is going for.
And there's the generic style that will support all the other ship manufacturers for the time being. For this release, the MFDs are getting 9 different views. Oh, how many is that even? Well, let's go through it.
We'll start with self-status. Self-status includes all of the critical information about your ship,
What numbers were going down
dependent
there?
on your current operator mode.
Oh my god, your guns. Okay.
So you'll have your ammo numbers in guns mode, you'll have your missile arming in missile mode, and your fuel readouts in quantum mode.
Yo, that's awesome. Good job, guys.
There's also a unique version for
Useful.
turrets as well.
We have taken away a lot of, well, faff from there. So this is simpler than before.
It is. Great job,
It's
guys.
more condensed, and it links into the new systems that have been developed in terms of vehicle features. For example, it shows your updated gimbal modes, and it also shows your current weapon group, which is a new thing as well. Target status.
The F7 and F8 have so many fucking guns that it doesn't even fit on the screen.
This is the same thing, but it gives you the information about the target that you have currently selected.
Okay, so target-wise, velocity, no data, faction, no data, target unavailable. So we don't have a lot of data on the screen, and I'm in the way, so let me move myself for that one. It's, yeah, we're not seeing a ton of data on that at the moment on the screen, so maybe by the time this comes in, we'll see a bit more.
It's mostly going to be, for a lot of players, the ship holo. You're going to want to see, am I dealing some damage or not?
Yeah.
You will also have the emissions, so you know what missile to use against them. And you will see their names, so you
Interesting.
know that you're not shooting the wrong person.
It's not as much information because obviously if you want to see how much ammo they've got, you've got to scan them. But it will show you their health, it will show you their fact.
If you want to see how much ammo they got, you got to scan them. Was that always a thing? That sounds new.
It will show you their velocity. Weapon config.
The weapon grouping looks actually amazing because there's 4 different groups and you can use them for whatever setting you want. It looks clean, it looks simple, it's the options are there's a ton of them.
Is entirely new. It links into the new weapon grouping system, so it will list out every single weapon on your ship. The ammo that you have, they'll light up if they're selected, and also
Beautiful.
It allows you to assign them to one of 4 custom groups, so you can have any combination of weapons that you want firing at the same time, and it makes it easy to see which.
Another great job, guys. CIG UI has been absolute dog shit for so many fucking years. They made one good UI, in my opinion. And it's one that doesn't get used. It was the one on the Starfare for refueling. This is the next good one.
Group of weapons you're firing.
And if you just don't assign one of those groups, if you feel like, well, 4's too many, I just use 2 anyway. Well, you can just assign to 2 of them, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
This will be valuable so the player can, in combat, switch between different modes depending on kind of distance.
And this is why young people working there is a good thing, I think.
And what kind of weapons they want to use.
On a day-to-day, you might be tracking down a particular target. It is a subject of a mission, and you know that a certain weapon is going to be more effective against them than another, or a certain weapon combination is going to be more effective.
Well, that's not a thing in Star Citizen yet, but I hope that is.
You can stick them all in one group and have quick access to that.
Yeah. I really hope that's a thing. So then weapon groups make a lot more sense if, hey, this ship does really poorly against this type of weapon. We don't have that at the moment, right? We have very meta experiences, but yeah.
Shields is pretty much the same as what it was. You can control each of your shield faces if you have 4 shield faces. If you have 1, you can control the whole.
That's very cool as well. I wanted to show you just real quick. I'm sorry for anybody who really wants ISC, but she's dreaming. She's dreaming. She was running in her dreams. So, sorry for the pause for the react. There we go.
Thing, and it gives you a reset button so you can set it all back to default, and also you can see your total shield usage out of the maximum.
For the time being, this is going to be the same thing that you're already used to.
And along with that are scanning and communications. Scanning's been moved from the HUD to an MFD state. For new screens, the biggest one.
Sorry, they just casually went over that, and we're not going to do that. We're going to spend some time looking at that.
And along with that are scanning and communications. Scanning's been moved from the HUD.
So you have multiple windows that you have to choose through. So you scan, you get the scan process, the info of the ship is there. I click parts, I find out what parts they're using. I click cargo, I find out what cargo they're using. And it's not this whole fucking huge cluttered mess over here.
To an MFD state.
That is a Bengal, yeah. Or no,
The
it's
new
Polaris.
screens.
Sorry, Polaris. I don't know why I read Bengal and agreed with you.
The biggest one is power management.
Engines on.
It's a simplified version of what you'll find on an engineering terminal, but it's for sort of daily use for the pilot.
It's using the full power of the resource network system, and it gives it to you right there in the pilot seat, so you can do the full assignments as you like them if you're flying solo.
We don't know what the assignments mean yet.
This is also where you will see your emissions. So if you're doing anything stealthy, you go into power management, you set your settings to low, and you will see your emissions adjust accordingly.
Cool.
You can turn on and off different systems in the ship. You can apply different levels of power to each system. You can see your total output, how much you're using.
Okay, I don't like the scroll bar either. We better be able to mouse wheel that scroll bar.
And you can also see different status readouts for those systems. So if
That's sick. What just happened on the screen, I like a lot.
something is run out of power or it's offline, it will also represent that on the power management MFD.
Engines off.
Along with that is
You
the
guys want to watch it again? Somebody said, let's watch it again. I could watch that again.
Settings to low, and you will see your emissions adjust accordingly.
you can turn on and off different systems in the ship. You can apply different levels of power to each system. You can see your total output, how much you're using, and you can also see different status readouts
That's awesome.
for those systems. So if something has run out of power or it's offline, it will also represent that on the power management MFD.
Yeah, maybe keybind too.
Engines off.
Along with that is the diagnostics view.
The diagnostics view is where you go to check in on your ship. If something's not feeling right, well, maybe check diagnostics.
It will show you the where that component is taken, as well as its current health and its status, whether it has any errors, and there'll be a summary at the top of the screen that shows you how many of your components have errors.
Okay, that was pretty cool.
And last, what I'm really excited about is the configuration screen. It takes a lot of the settings that were hidden away in the options menu or just in the back end and puts them right there for you to toggle in-world on your MFD screen instantly.
The configuration view is
Huge.
great. You can now turn off unwanted UI if you really wish to. You can turn off the cast, which is my favorite part. If you have screens on the top left and top right of your screen, then you can turn off those casts now to clear the UI a little bit.
That's amazing as well. The question is, will it persist?
So this configuration screen allows you to configure a few aspects of some different MFD states, as well as what goes on your HUD and how that looks.
You can finally control what goes on our HUD?
We can finally control what goes on our HUD. Yeah.
Nice.
So let's talk about the HUD. Using the configuration screen, you can choose whether or not you're showing your MFD casts, which are simplified and more tactile versions of the self-status and target status screen.
Functionality-wise, it's stuff you know already. You have your velocity, you have your...
We're going to watch that again. Is anybody that's really worried about master modes, can you tell me if this Gladius is not flying way more agile or way faster?
Functionality-wise, it's stuff you know already. You have your velocity, you have your afterburner, you have your annunciators, and you have
Wait. I have to go back farther. Sorry, chat. Sorry. I think I have to go back a little bit to like right there.
And more tactile versions of the self-status and target status screen.
I only see 100 meters, 150 meters per second, but the G's maybe? Take a look at the G's. 13.3.
You can choose whether or not you're showing your MFD casts, which are simplified and more tactile versions of the self-status and target status screen.
Yeah, like that rotation and turns,
it's stuff you know already. You have your velocity, you have your...
It seems faster, but I'm not the regular. 20 Gs per second, is that normal? That's normal, they were boosting. Just wanted to check. Because Jared had mentioned something about mastermost changes that were coming on an ISC soon. Maybe that's something we're going to see in the future, but doesn't look like it. Okay.
Afterburner. You have your annunciators, and you have different indicators.
They show critical information when you can't look at your dashboard in front of you. So if you're in a fighter and you're looking up in the sky, you can still see that, as well as allowing you to still see that information when you're in precision targeting mode.
Precision targeting. I really enjoyed that.
We've decided to clear up all of the nonsense we have in the middle.
Is that a shield flicker, or is that the actual UI letting you know where you're hitting? Because it looks similar to what you see on the UI.
And kind of make it out of the way of the middle of the screen. So
what took so long, Joe?
I'm sorry, it wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
Oh god.
We've also done a little bit of work making the radar in the HUD feel more diegetic and making it look like it actually
fucking diegetic in world systemic.
Exists in the cockpit with grounding effects and emission rate origin points as well.
It all just feels so much better. It feels
I'm glad they
real.
spent 3 seconds on that and everything else was functional.
So with this new ship and vehicle HUD, it's just going to be a clearer experience overall. It's going to be clearer in the sense that you don't have stuff in your face all the time. It's going to be clearer in the sense that you can actually read the UI.
Just put a landing cam there. I think we'll get to that place at some point, but I don't think we're getting to that place for a while. I think that's probably going to take a lot more time.
So I think you'll be very happy with it.
But we
it's
all
gonna
want
be
landing cam.
such a nice thing to just be out in space and be able to see
Was that
space.
a C2? It
right?
looked so much better.
So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that the Zeus is the first ship made by the newly established Montreal vehicle team. That the MFD rework is an exciting and easily usable and customizable upgrade to what we've had before. And that it plugs nicely into the upcoming resource network and engineering work scheduled for Alpha 4.0, which will, of course, we'll be showcasing next week. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks.
I looked up at the dog cam. What are they showcasing next week?
Upgrade to what we've had before. Montreal vehicle team. That the MFD rework is an exciting and easily usable and customizable upgrade to what we've had before. And that it plugs nicely into the upcoming resource network and engineering work scheduled for Alpha 4.0, which will, of course, we'll be showcasing next week. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for letting us share the people and process of game development with you, and we'll see you all here next week.
All right. That's exciting. I really can't wait for that. Very exciting. Amazing episode. Very good episode. Nothing bad to say at all, except for it took a while to make the Zeus, unfortunately. Cool. Like, I just can't wait to use them. And I can't wait for the engineering thing so we know more about what those power MFDs actually do. We got a little taste, but I want to know more about that and how that works. That was awesome. That was awesome.